This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to Road to Special Olympics 2026 USA Games, a Special Chronicles podcast series. I'm your host, Daniel Smrokowski, founder of Special Chronicles, a Special Olympics athlete leader with Team Illinois, and a former Southern Shriver Global Messenger. Today, we're spotlighting the spirit of unified champion schools and the incredible teamwork happening in the Interscholastic Division of competitive cheer. You're about to meet Coach Christina Gould calling in from Special Olympics Oklahoma, whose energy, leadership, and commitment to inclusion shows exactly what the road to the USA Games is all about. If you want to follow the athletes and more than 3,000 athletes on their journey to the USA Games, download the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games app. Just search USA Games in the iPhone or Android app stores. And to follow this full podcast series and stay connected to everything happening leading up to and during the 2026 USA Games, visit specialchronicles.com/2026 USA Games. That's specialchronicles.com/2026 USA Games, or scan that QR code right above. And now let's jump in. Jump in. I think cheerleaders jump. I don't know. We'll find out. And celebrate the competitive cheerleaders who are making inclusion possible. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Christina on to Special Chronicles.
Hi, Daniel.
Awesome. Hi, Christina. And fun fact, one of my former basketball coaches in Special Olympics has your same name. So just a little fun to get it kicked off. But yeah, I'm sure you've got, just like the cheers of our listeners applauding when you came onto the program today, I'm sure cheerleaders hear a lot of applause, and yeah.
Very much so.
And so with that, I'm glad we've actually been profiling Special Olympics cheerleading since it started back in 2015 at the World Games. My volunteer content producer is the global advisor who actually got cheerleading started. And so I'm glad it's been quite a few years since we have actually profiled cheerleading on the program.
Wow.
We've been so busy with lots of content, over 800, and this is episode 800 and something, 18 years. And so, but I'm glad that we're finally profiling competitive cheer, because I think this might be only the second time that it's happening at the USA Games.
Okay, very good.
And we're also glad to that we're also, in addition to profiling the competitive cheer, but most particularly this interscholastic division is a part of what's called Unified Champion Schools. That if our listeners want to learn more about, go on to specialchronicles.com, search for Unified Champion Schools, and you can listen to a series that dives more deeply into that program. But first, introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us what state Special Olympics program you're from and your role on this unified cheer team.
Yeah, so my name is Christina Gould, and I am the head coach for the Unified Special Olympics Oklahoma cheer team, Interscholastic cheer team. We're actually bringing two cheer teams from Oklahoma this year, which is awesome. We are excited and ready to get going.
Awesome. I really hope I said Oklahoma at the top of the program. Who knows? Who knows what the teleprompter says, and then what actually comes out of my voice into this microphone. Anyways, let's jump to just as we open up the program today. and dive into the origin story of your unified cheer team. How did your school in Special Olympics Oklahoma begin with a unified cheer team?
So that's a really fun story. We started about 6 years ago. A parent came to me and our varsity dance team for our high school, the coach for that team, and said, "Hey, why don't we have anything that my daughter can compete in at the high school level or at any level for cheer or dance or anything like that?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I guess we can figure out how to do it." At the time, Special Olympics Oklahoma did not recognize cheer as a sport. Special Olympics Oklahoma has only had it for about 3 years now. And we have been in it since the very beginning and before. Our high school, Broken Arrow High School, absolutely wrapped around us and let us be on the sidelines of the varsity games. They let us be included in as much as we wanted to be included in. And it kind of just slowly developed from there. When Special Olympics Oklahoma added on unified cheer, we said, okay, we've got to find unified partners. And we at first partnered with the dance team. And once we started to realize how competitive it was, we jumped into our varsity cheer team and said, hey, we need some partners. And they absolutely provided them, and they have been incredible.
Awesome. Building upon that unified partnership that you just said, and that team culture that you've developed over the past few years, describe for our listeners the partnership between traditional athletes like myself and others, and unified partners on your cheer team.
So unified partners and our athletes compete together. Unified partners are typical peers that they see in school every single day. And so we are just taking those friendships and melding them together as we compete competitively in cheer. So it's super fun.
Awesome. And just like there's a lot of teams that have the values and team values that help to guide the team into the right direction, both on and off the mat. Talk to our listeners about the values that guide your team, your unified cheer team, on the mat and off the mat as well.
So our team absolutely thrives on respect mutually on both sides of the court, and joy is another value that we love. We celebrate as much and as often as we can. We celebrate the small things and we celebrate the big things.
Awesome. Speaking of the value of joy, my content producer, Darian, she helped to get a cheer team started in the Maryland, DC area, and they actually cheered at a unified basketball team at her church, the same church that our chairman Tim Shriver goes to, and I believe their name. It's been a while since I've been out there. But I believe their team is the Joy. Oh, they got joy in the name of their cheer team. So awesome. As we wrap up this segment of this partnership, this unified partnership, that many, hopefully when people come out and see this competitive cheer, particularly this interscholastic unified teams in Minnesota at the USA Games, they will really see the power of a unified partnership. Share with our listeners a moment when you really felt inclusion come alive. Maybe it was at an event at your school. Maybe it was some other event. But share a story with our listeners, because people like hearing stories on podcasts. So share a story when you really felt inclusion come alive.
Absolutely. So our team has had so many moments like that it's really hard to choose just one. But a time that I can remember that stands out the most is one of our first times that we were invited onto the sidelines of the football team's game for the evening. And I just remember the varsity cheerleaders and the varsity dance team coming over between our cheers and doing our cheers with us and, and supporting us and cheering us on. And then there was a line as the football players were going in, there was a line of guys that were just high-fiving our girls as they went by, just like they would any other team. And it just felt, okay, we've arrived. We're here. We're in this. So it was good.
Awesome. And I'm sure that's you're going to see that happen so many times at the USA Games in Minnesota. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to so much work goes into preparing, whether you're competing, whether you're there as media, whether you're there as an athlete leader, but it's going to be worth it once we're all in Minnesota in just a few days from now. As we dive into the training and the preparation and the competition, talk to our listeners about what a typical practice looks like for your unified cheer squad.
Yeah, so our practices they're very structured, just like any other competitive cheer team. We come in, we stretch, we warm up together. They have a little bit of time to kind of wind down and talk to each other. We go into stunting and tumbling and practicing our routine. We call them full outs. We do them over and over and over again so that they understand and are repetitive in the movements. And then we finish our practices with some journal writing time that we are able to reflect on how we did for the day, or maybe something that we hope to improve on the next day. We celebrate in those journals our athletes and our peers. We do a shout out for someone and just build them up. So
awesome. I'm sure that there's a lot of skills that the athletes and that the unified partners have. What's a skill or what's maybe a few skills and a few strengths that make your team, your Special Olympics Oklahoma Unified Cheer team, so unique and that will make you stand out? And I know it's not all about getting a gold medal or medals, but what's some unique skills? What's some unique strength that will make your Special Olympics Oklahoma Unified Cheer team stand out in Minnesota at these USA Games?
Absolutely. Our team stands out because of their resilience. They absolutely show up to every practice. They work as hard as they can and they keep showing up. We've had a couple of injuries over the last year preparing, and they keep showing up. They obviously they protect themselves, but they keep coming up. They keep going through the motion, and it doesn't knock them down. So I think no matter what happens in Minnesota, we are absolutely prepared for it, and our team is going to come back fighting. So
awesome, and I'm sure some of our listeners, in fact, he touched on it a little bit. The previous guest that you heard from Special Olympics Texas, Sean, I think he might have competed in cheer at the Orlando USA Games, possibly. But I'm sure a lot of our listeners might know about competitive cheerleaders, whether it's in their high school, whether it's just overall, maybe from movies or just seeing competitive. But talk to our listeners about what is it really like competing in that? Because I'm sure your unified cheer team has competed local at the local level and in other competitions, but as you said, the first time at the USA Games at this national level. Talk to our listeners about what is it like competing in the Interscholastic Division of competitive cheer against other unified champion schools.
It's exciting. It's exciting to see what other teams bring to the mat. It's exciting to see what they can do and what we can do on the mat also on game day. I think our team, they just show up. They show up and they show out really big on game day. So I think it's so exciting.
Awesome. Now, from your coach perspective as the coach for the Special Olympics Oklahoma Unified Cheer Team, talk to our listeners about your approach to building a unified team culture, because I'm sure you've learned a lot about unified champion schools. You've learned a lot about unified sports, and so many people think Special Olympics is just for those of us athletes with intellectual disabilities. But now that you're helping to really show our country, you're able to show the world that this movement, the Special Olympics movement, is not just about athletes with intellectual disabilities, but now unified athletes with or without disabilities playing on the same team. So talk to our listeners about your approach to building a unified team culture.
So our approach is simple. It's about building relationships. It's hard for our athletes to show up if the peers don't fully embrace them, and they do. Our team is united as one. We compete as one. They don't see each other differently. They are absolutely best friends, and I love watching them interact. So it's definitely building relationships. Awesome.
As we now dive into this road to the 2026 USA Games, again, you're listening to Road to Special Olympics 2026 USA Games, a Special Chronicles Podcast Series. If you are listening to the program, you can scan the QR code if you're watching the video on the YouTube, or click the link in the description below to follow and listen to this full series. Again, daily episodes will be dropping. I think that's what the kids say. I don't know. Starting June 15th all the way till June 26th, and then we'll have weekly content in July that was recorded during the games, as well as the legacy of the games at the end of July. So tons of content on this series. And as we talk about this road to the 2026 USA Games, talk about, as you are representing your state program, Special Olympics Oklahoma, what does that mean to you at these 2026 USA Games? What is representing your state of Oklahoma, your program, Special Olympics Oklahoma? What's all the emotions that you and your unified cheer team have in representing your state, your local program on the national stage?
It is such an incredible honor to be chosen to represent the state of Oklahoma in general. Special Olympics Oklahoma has a big, long history of passionate athletes and coaches and staff members that just do everything possible for the state of Oklahoma as far as Special Olympics is concerned. And to be chosen to be the team to represent it's incredible and overwhelming, but definitely an honor.
Awesome. As we talk about some of the goals, because I'm sure that you've set some goals for your team. Talk about the goals that you have set for yourself, as well as your unified cheer team from Special Olympics Oklahoma. What's some of the goals that you have for these USA Games?
So, I mean, obviously, we want to perform at our best. We want to show up and do our best. But personally, my goals for them are to increase their confidence and be able to just get out there in front of everybody. I mean, this is probably going to be one of the bigger crowds that we've ever performed in front of. So just getting through those nerves and building their individual confidence and then a team confidence is going to be huge for them. Awesome.
So I am getting some texts from a pilot friend who was celebrating the Knicks winning the NBA championship. Anyways, you've talked about having a support from your community. You shared in the last segment about the high school football team and your high school community really high-fiving and really showing like that truly, in you sharing that story, really helps to show people that's what this inclusion movement is all about. That's what I'm sure in another 20, 30, 50 years from now, all the teams will be unified, hopefully. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but it seems like that's the power of unified sports.
Yeah.
Talk to our listeners about how your school and how your community, in Special Olympics Oklahoma, how has the community supported your journey to the USA Games?
So in Broken Arrow, which is the city that we're from, the community has always supported Special Olympics very, very well. And the school has done a good job in the past, but when we started really pushing Unified Champion Schools and getting the word out there about what inclusion really was and what it looked like to us, they started to take hold of it. And so athletics includes us as much as they can in all of their things. We are the largest high school in the state of Oklahoma, and we get included in the pep assemblies to come down and cheer on the sidelines for the teams as they're each of the individual pep assemblies. So, I mean, we are absolutely a part of the high school, and we're the heart of the city, and they definitely know that, and they support us.
Awesome. Let's now dive into the impact of your personal story. Unified Champion Schools, whether it's a coach, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a unified partner, whether it's just the school overall, there's so many stories that people have had their lives changed from being involved in Unified Champion Schools. Talk to our listeners about how has your life as a coach, how has it changed from being a part of Unified Champion Schools?
Unified Champion Schools has brought so much joy and happy tears to my everyday life. Just seeing the stories of inclusion coming out from our school district, across the board, all the way from pre-K all the way up through the high school and beyond. We now have a school that's after high school that we are supported also, and they also have a Unified Champions program. It's just incredible. Joy. That's the best word.
Perfect.
Joy. Yeah.
Perfect. And I feel like, sure, I don't have the mission statement of Special Olympics memorized notes in front of me, but I feel like joy is in that mission statement, or if not, it feels. Yeah. So there was something else I was going to bring up based on what you said, and I'm blanking on it. But anyways, is there talk to our listeners about a favorite moment from cheering together? What's a favorite moment that you have from your unified cheer team cheering together? Maybe it's a practice, maybe it's a practice competition, getting ready for the USA Games. What's a favorite memory?
All of these practices leading up to USA Games are definitely going to be forever ingrained in me. They are great memories. But I think one that really stands out is when Special Olympics Oklahoma first originally came on the mat with with Unified Cheer. They got our state association involved, which is the OSSAA. They allowed us to compete alongside our peers and our other friends across the districts, across the state. And we came out top and won the very first competition for the state of Oklahoma. So we definitely had big celebrations and big shiny rings to show off after that.
And awesome. And now in another week, you and your team are hopefully, whether it's shiny medals or even if you don't get a medal, but hopefully medals, hopefully you guys will have some shiny medals or shiny memories from competing on the national stage.
Absolutely. The experience alone is going to be amazing. So.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has ever described a memory as shiny, but I think you can probably call the Games.
I agree.
Back to something you said about Unified Champion Schools. It just came back in my mind here. The tagline that we've been seeing on these USA Games is calling all champions. The two previous guests that you heard, they talked about how it's an athlete-led games and really how everybody is a champion, whether you are an athlete, whether you're a unified partner, whether you're a coach like yourself, whether you're a volunteer, a staff, a fan, a sponsor, everybody is champion. So it's nice to kind of see how the power of Unified Champion Schools really takes that champion to a whole new level that is so needed in society today. I think these USA games are like, this is what people are gonna be. This is what we need at this moment in 2026 to really show the world of how to live with joy, like you said, how to live with joy, how to live unified, how to live with inclusion as just a part of life. And that's what your cheer team is really showing, how inclusion is just a regular part of life.
Yes.
What's a message that you want to share with our listeners to really take away about, and we're going to, at the very end of the program, we're going to define inclusion. So you don't have to totally answer everything right now, because at the very end of the program, I'm gonna combine all the answers into from this series of people defining inclusion, and then on the anniversary of Special Olympics on July 20th, I'm gonna edit a montage episode of all these answers of people defining inclusion on this USA Games series.
That.
And honestly, I did not plan for that episode to release on the anniversary of Special Olympics. It just happened to the way that we've been really restructuring the release schedule of the series.
Yeah.
So, but before we get to that, we'll kind of give our listeners a little tease to a takeaway about a message about inclusion. So what's the message that you want to give to our listeners to really take away about inclusion? I'm sure it's obvious with this unified sports and unified cheer team and unified champion schools, but what's the message that you want listeners to take away to really know about what inclusion truly is?
So inclusion is not, it's not showing up and doing something for everyone. It's showing up and doing something with everyone. And I think that's the biggest message that I would like to get out there, is that it's competing with, not for.
Awesome. I'm making a note of that. That's powerful. Those somewhere I saw, and I forgot it. It might have been my local agency that I compete with Special Olympics, but somebody had the phrase similar to what you said, that inclusion is doing with, not for. And I had one of the guests on, which will be on, this is on episode 4 of the series. So your episode is coming out during the games, but one of the episodes I interviewed one of the staff for Special Olympics Illinois, and she answered the inclusion as, and if you go to our Special Chronicles Instagram, so again, if you scan that QR code above and then click on Instagram, and then on our Instagram page, I posted a quote, even though the episode has not released yet, but it was just so powerful that I couldn't wait to share this. So feel free to go, and if you want to reshare it or share it to your story, or you can do that. And the quote is, "Inclusion doesn't see disability." And that's one of our staff from Special Olympics Illinois. That's how she defined inclusion, where inclusion doesn't see disability. I don't know if you wanted to kind of comment on that quote.
Yeah, I love that. It doesn't see disability. It sees the ability. Inclusion is seeing what everyone can do, not what they can't do.
Absolutely. The past 30 minutes have just flown by, and I know most of maybe not Team Illinois, but I mean, I know I am. Most of us are going to be flying to Minnesota. So the past has flown by, and who knows? You could listen to this series, or at least the first 3 episodes of this series, when you fly to Minnesota. Some powerful conversations. I know you got a little sneak peek to one of those episodes, but you and all of our listeners can actually listen to the first 3 episodes of this series as we dive into what the USA Games are. We dive into the Athlete Advisory Council. We dive into a few athlete stories and unified stories as we lead up to these games. And so as we wrap up, we've got just a few this final segment here. Is there anyone that you want to thank or shout out to? Maybe it's your unified Geo team, but yeah, give as many thanks and shout outs to whoever on, and you can share this episode so they can actually hear it
yes.
on the name.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out and thank our athletes and our unified peers, their parents, who definitely none of this would have been possible without the support of their parents and the willingness to trust us. My coaching staff, my choreography staff, and Special Olympics Oklahoma. I mean, we were chosen as representatives, and it is such an honor and a blessing that I hope we do Oklahoma proud.
Awesome. How I'm going to try to put it up on the screen as you talk, but where can our listeners follow your team's journey, your unified Geo team from Special Olympics Oklahoma? Where can our listeners follow your team's journey to and during these 2026 USA Games?
Yeah, so Special Olympics Oklahoma has a Facebook page. They have an Instagram page that you can follow, and they definitely will be showcasing us there. You can also follow us locally at Broken Arrow Special Olympics team on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Awesome. And it's so I'm putting it up on the screen for right now. Listeners can just search for Special Olympics Oklahoma on Facebook or Instagram, and then your team. It's whoops. Ooh, wait, what did I? I clicked on something. Yeah, I know. I didn't expect us to get bigger though. I clicked on something here. Okay. So it's is it Broken BROKEN?
Broken Arrows.
Yep. All right. So and it's all written out. So I'm gonna go put it up on the screen. Let me know if this is correct for our listeners.
Yes.
And at Broken, and our listeners can do what I'm doing on your phone, and you can go and search for Broken Arrow. If I can type and type on Arrow, which is not always the easiest thing to do, but Broken Arrow Special
Olympics team.
Olympics. Is it BA Special Olympics? Is that? That's what shows up.
Yeah, it shows up Broken Arrow Special Olympics team -BASO. It's got a BA and Special Olympics underneath it. Yeah.
Oh, BA. I'm pulled up Instagram and BA Special Olympics. Is that?
Yes.
And then it's the Broken Arrow Special Olympics Booster Club.
Yep.
Okay, so hopefully so everybody could just search. If you just start typing that, I think people will be able to find it. So with that, I know the past half hour has flown by. Is there any final thoughts in your overall time here on the Special Chronicles podcast series that you want to share with all listeners?
Just that these games are more than about competitive sports. I mean, obviously that's the catalyst to get us here, but it's about inclusion and being able to allow everyone to have a voice and a place in the field, on the mat, on the court, wherever they choose to compete at. So we love being a part of it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. Very, very powerful. Got one final question because we want, of course, want our listeners to hear your story, hear the story of your unified cheer team. But even more than that, we want our listeners to join this inclusion movement and join the inclusion revolution. Whether they're playing a unified sport like unified cheer, whether they'll just any part of the inclusion revolution. And inclusion is also important here on this program, on this platform. There's me behind the mic with an intellectual disability, but my business manager, my dad, my content producer, my mom is the copy editor, as I almost dumped this water off the desk here. As long as I don't drop that on the computer here, because you're not going to be able to hear this. Anyways, inclusion is important. And so we've got one final question, and we've got a bumper. So go ahead and roll that bumper to introduce this final question.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our
Shared humanity. We will not stop.
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So this final question really gets to the heart of what we want our listeners to have this call to action. I've been asking this ever since I got back from the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi. And this final question will really help our listeners to bring inclusion into their schools, into the workplaces, into their towns, into their communities. And so you teased it a little bit in the previous segment or two ago. But I'll ask you the same that I've asked the previous guests, and that is, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion is not just being invited into the room. It's knowing that your presence matters when you get there.
Awesome. Powerful words. Thank you again, Christina. Our guest on the Special Chronicles program has been Christina Gould, a coach from Special Olympics Oklahoma Unified Cheer Team. Looking forward to meeting you in person and hopefully talking to some of your Unified Cheer Team.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Road to Special Olympics 2026 USA Games, a Special Chronicles podcast series. A huge thank you to our guest, Coach Christina Gould, who called in from Special Olympics Oklahoma's Interscholastic Division of Competitive Cheer Team, for sharing her stories, their teamwork, and their passion for inclusion. If you want to follow the athletes of her Unified Cheer Team, as well as more than 3,000 athletes on their journey to the USA Games, download the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games app. Just search for USA Games in the iPhone or Android app stores. And to follow this full podcast series and stay connected on everything leading up to and during the games, visit specialchronicles.com/2026 USA Games. That's specialchronicles.com/2026 USA Games. Or scan that QR code right above if you're watching on the YouTube, or click the link in the description below. And until next time, let's keep celebrating the volunteers, athletes, unified partners, coaches who make inclusion possible. And until next time, I'll see you on the pod waves, and I'll see you hopefully in Minnesota. And until next time, choose to include. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks as always to our business manager, Adam Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.